Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Canada Day. Hello. So we're going live now. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I think I've got some good lighting going on. Yeah, so it's the long weekend here in Canada. I suppose it's also because July 4th is Monday, right? So I guess it's also a long weekend in the US as well. If you're joining us from the States, also a long weekend. And we are doing a continuation of the butt series. So in the past, we've done many different butts, mostly animal butts, but we did do some human butts on the beach. We've done frosty butts. We've done safari butts, barnyard butts. What else have we done? All kinds of animals. So I just thought it'd be cute to do Canadian animals as the next butts painting. And I just thought it'd be nice to try watercolor this time because we've done all the other butts in acrylics. Let's try some watercolors because I'm quite adept at watercolors. Why not do a butts in watercolors? Maybe this is going to be your first time doing watercolors. Yeah, let me know in the chat if this is your very first time using watercolors or your first time with me. So my name is Chris, that's short for Kristen. I'm sure many of you know the Butts series. That's why you're tuning in. The continuation. Let's see, it's 1 minute after. I'll get started with the supplies that we'll need. And even as people join us a little bit late, as always with this live feed, you are able to put the playback back. You can rewind if you need to hear something again, or you can also pause. You can hit pause on the live feed to go grab something or take a break or take care of something. Yeah, no rush. You can go at your own pace, absolutely, even when it's a live event. So let's do supplies. Well, we'll need some watercolor paints. I've got a couple examples here with me today. I've got this messy, colorful set. This I got on Amazon, Mei Liang. A nice student colorful set, not professional, just for having fun with and playing with. And then I've got some, they call these paint stones. They're from Beam Paints. They come right out. They come individually. So that's my little collection of paint stones from Beam. I'll use a little bit of those too. We will need a pencil and an eraser. Any kind of pencil, any kind of eraser. I just like a nice thin lead, a nice light thin lead. That's why I like to use a mechanical pencil. But any, like just a regular school pencil would be okay too. Any eraser. We're going to sketch our animals. Some kind of black waterproof pen. I guess it could be a color other than black. But it needs to be waterproof because we're going to do the pencil sketch first, then the pen, then the watercolor. So we wouldn't want the pen to run as we do all of our painting. So here is a couple examples. We'll look at these ones first. Le Pen technical drawing pens in a variety of sizes. These are waterproof. That's a good brand. These are very popular. Sakura Pigma Micron in different sizes. Waterproof, black pen. We'll put those there. We will need, the masking tape is optional. So if you do want to have a nice crisp white border, masking tape or painter's tape, even washi tape is a good option. But you can have your painting go right to the very edge of your paper, or your painting could have sort of a loose organic edge to it. It doesn't have to be crisp. I've got some paper here with me. This is the brand I always use, Canson XL watercolor paper. Mine's quite a big size, 11 by 15. This would be lovely on a nice 9 by 12. You could do that on a 9 by 12 just fine, any size. Let's put that there for a sec. Couple of brushes. You could do this whole painting with just like one brush. I've got a couple medium and thin. Really any brushes. Dollar store brushes are fine. I've got my jar of water, cup of water for the watercolors, a little bit of paper towel, napkin, something. I think that's it for supplies. I always like to have like a tissue box nearby to dab at any little splashes or drips. That's just me though. So we will get started. Again, you can pause at any point, rewind, take a break. Let's get a piece of paper out. I like to take my paper out. I like to take it out. You don't have to. You could keep it in the pad or in the sketchbook. Oh, you know, before we get started, where is it? I just wanted to show you. I want to show you like how my ideas come to be. Where do they come from? So here's my first initial sketch that I drew on a little scrap piece of paper. And I was at work at the time. I just wanted to sketch out my idea that was in my head. So yeah, you can see the similarities and the differences. I had 2 geese in the first version. I had little speech bubbles, timber. This one says honk. An idea that became this image. And you can see I ended up with the 155 in the banner. I added these little decorations on his antlers. Yeah, so that's just how a little sketch becomes like a full image. I'm going to get some tape. I chose red tape for Canada. Why not? Anne says, "Happy birthday, Canada." That is true. And Jared, nice to see you. Jared's always ready to go. I can always count on him. Okay, a little tape. Yeah, painter's tape works nice. Masking tape. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, mine's a little bit away from the edge. You could tape your paper down to a surface so it doesn't have to be loose. You could tape it to the table. You could tape it to some kind of a board. And that'll help with the paper kind of warping a little bit. Okay, that's it for the tape. So there is my taped border. If you do want that nice white border, you don't have to. Get your pencil and eraser. So these sketches can be messy. It doesn't have to be perfect lines right away, because even when we do the pen work later on, even the pen is a little bit messy and scribbly. So like, look at this tree. This tree is not straight. It's all wiggly. Look at the triangles of the banner. They're not perfect triangles. They're a little bit messy. Some have extra lines. So don't worry about your sketch being messy. It's a sketch. It can be messy. So I'd like to we'll start with the middle and work out so we know like how much space we have to work with. You could also change up the composition. Maybe you're using a smaller piece of paper. Maybe you only want to do the moose and the beaver. Or maybe you only want to do the moose and the polar bear and goose. You can cut out and rearrange things. They could be overlapping the animals if you have less space to work with. Any kind of composition you want to do. So I'm going to start with the moose. Get your pencils going. So the moose is quite tall on the page, maybe about at least 2/3 of the height of my page. So maybe about, make a little mark for yourself. Make a little tick, little mark. So that could be like the back of my moose. And they have kind of a humpy hump along their spine. So I've got this little raised hump and then a big old round body. It's almost like I'm drawing a lemon right now. So that's along his spine. This is his sides. And then we want some nice long, gangly, little bit lumpy legs. So I'm going to separate my lemon. Separate my lemon into like the bum region. The back of the thigh could be gangly legs. So you can start with some straight legs. You can start with them pretty straight and then add knobby knees to them. Okay, but I want to have some like kind of knobby shapes jutting inward in the knee area where you think the knees might be. Something like that. I did add these little, kind of like a V shape. Sort of like a V, could be a U shape around the knee area. Kind of like that. Where can we put this so that they're side by side? Oh, yes, like that. Yeah, we could do it like that. And some hoof. So I just have it flaring out a little bit at the very bottom. A little bit of a flare. This is the back of the hoof. And then I did like another V shape, more of a deep V as like the kind of like back toe. Like that kind of thing. Now, moose have very tiny tails, surprisingly. It's right there. That's the little tiny tail. And you can make it a little shaggy. It's like just enough tail to cover up the little bum hole. Just a tiny little tail, surprisingly. And he does need a head. So yeah, this is the spine, kind of a jutting up spine. His head up and around there. We can add shagginess to all of this when we do the pen work. So that's why my head is just kind of like a round circle. But when we do the pen, we can add shagginess to it. Give them some nice big ears. They're quite big. There is quite a wide gap on the kind of forehead. Like the shape of a leaf, the ears. They don't have to be exactly the same as each other. One could be a little wider, thinner, shorter, taller. They don't have to be exact. Some little ears. And then the antlers coming out. I've got mine coming out pretty horizontally and then spiking up. Any kind of antler rack that you want to draw, truly. I'm going to come out from below the ear, as big as you want or as small as you want. Let's go like that. So a big old curve. Let's do another big old curve. Take up a lot of this airspace. You can make it as big as you want. Use up a lot of negative space. Two big old curves. And they don't have to be mirror images. Often the antlers are not the same on both sides. Something like that. More points, less, maybe some that have snapped off. not exactly the same. That's okay. So that's pretty much the whole moose. As we pen it in, we'll add shagginess to him. Okay, shall we add, let's do the beaver next over here. Classic Canadian animal. Let's do the beaver itself first, and then we'll add the tree. That's just my thought. So yeah, judge how much room you have on this side. Keeping in mind you need to do a tree. So I'm going to put the beaver maybe here. I made it bigger to scale compared to the moose. Like in reality, the moose is going to be so much taller than this beaver. But look, he's like only twice as tall. The scale is a little off. That's fine. This is art. Okay. I gave my beaver kind of a pear-shaped body. He's quite a round beaver. So that's like a potato shape, pear shape, blob of a body. Give him a little head. Again, we're gonna shag up his fur as we go along with the pen. So it's okay that it's just like a round circle. I gave him little tiny ears. Just some little ears. Tiny, tiny. Yeah, we don't really see his face at all. His arms, he's facing the tree, chewing away. And some kind of a tail. Now I think that's a little out of scale to his body too. So if you want to make it a little smaller, more realistic, you can. I went with the more cartoony beaver tail shape and size for sure. Any kind of beaver tail. Different angle even. It doesn't have to be up. And I did give him just the hint of like a little bit of foot, tiny bit of foot. Just like a long little foot there. Just a tiny little thing. Yeah, not much going on there. Yeah, if you're happy with the shape and size of your beaver, add a tree. So I want the tree, the chewy part that he's chewing, to be right in here. So let's do kind of like it's a V shape on top of a upside down V shape, but he's blocking most of it with his body. Or you can imagine like kind of like an hourglass shape, but again, he's blocking most of it with his body. And then, yeah, it becomes the rest of the tree trunk, the stump, the roots. And I do kind of like a wavy, kind of looks like waves. And then, do you want to get a ruler? I don't want to get a ruler. I'm just going to make it like a big old, doesn't have to be straight. Look at that. Whoop, not straight. It's falling, starting to fall. That's what I had in the original sketch. He's saying timber. And then I'll do that kind of a wavy, like he's been chewing it. We'll add lines in the trunk as texture. We're going to add wood chips flying with our pen. We don't need to sketch those things necessarily. Okay, so there's a nice tree and a nice beaver. Again, if I'm getting ahead of you, just, rewind or hit pause, work on it a little bit longer. polar bear and a nice Canadian goose. Here, I could even bring that a little closer. A nice big round bum. Not as tall as the moose. Not as tall as the moose, but not small either. They're quite big. And use a lot of your negative space here. Use up what you have to work with. Nice big bum. Going down into legs that are thick. They look like shaggy pants. And this is like the heel. So we don't need like toe detail. It's just the heel. And then, yeah, kind of a small tail. Not too long. Yeah, it just looks like pants. Just looks like some baggy, wide leg pants. Yours could be shorter, wider, taller. Yeah, not too much going on for the polar bear. And the goose, the Canada goose. He's quite a chunky goose. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty round goose. So I'm going to draw, I'll start with a circle shape above my polar bear. Kind of a circle, leaving some room for, you know, the feet. We could put in some feet here, here, and then, yeah, this is the back view of the foot, but I kind of made you still be able to see like some of the toesies. So what would you call that shape? Like a upside down umbrella shape for the feet. Kind of reminds me of an upside down umbrella-ish. Kind of fudging the perspective a little bit. Because I think if I was really looking at a goose from behind, I wouldn't be able to see the whole foot shape. But for the sake of the drawing, all right, we need to add a neck, thin neck. And I've got him looking to the left because that's where all the action is. Little goosey neck and head and beak. And they always have a patch of white, any shape, but it's kind of, what would you call that area? Near the jaw, near the ear, if they have an ear there. Any old shape. It doesn't have to be the same shape I'm doing. But they always have a little patch of white. And then let's just make our body look more goosey. So I did kind of an indent here, like the top of an apple, top of a peach. These are the wings. It's an interesting perspective seeing a goose from behind and trying to draw it from behind. So you can do like a couple of lines that could be like some feathers from the wings. Just a few. The tail, sort of like a V shape. And then we could draw some feathers on that, but all coming to a point. Something like that. And then I just add a few little, but we can add more with the pen for texture, but we'll do that with the pen. Add these little half circle kind of shapes to give them some texture, feathery texture. There we go. I think the last thing we'll do is the banner. Any length of banner. Mine goes from corner to corner, but yours could just kind of dip down like in the middle if you want, or no banner. Yeah, it could just dip like this. It could go all the way. So I'm going to draw a line. Sometimes I like to flip my page around. If it's a little easier to draw upside down than to draw this way, turn your paper. So I'm going to go from corner to corner. That's the string of my banner from corner to corner. It could be, oh, you could do like a couple of dips. It could go dip, dip, dip. You could do that. That's festive. If it dips a couple of times, that'd be pretty cool. It could even be straight. It could be straight across from here to here. It's being pulled tight on both ends. It doesn't dip down at all. And then, yeah, I've just got a whole series of triangles. They're not perfectly triangular. They're blowing in the wind. They're flapping around. So they're a little bit curvy, a little bit messy. It's okay if they're not all the same size. That's okay. They could overlap some of the things in your sketch. So if your antlers are taller than my antlers and some of your flags touch or overlap, that's okay. See, that one's going to touch. Any number. They could be wider. They could be squares. They don't have to be triangles. And then here's one by my goose. So I'll have that one go behind my goose. Or in front. That could be pretty funny. So the flag is like in the goose's face. Yeah, something like that. Different triangles, some a little curvy. Got some pretty big ones. I'm not too worried. Not too worried. I will, let's see. I mean, the rest of the stuff we could do with just the pen. So like the lettering, the confetti, the wood chips, the textures, the ground. Really, this is all we need for pencil for now. If you're a little less confident about your, say, lettering or numerals, you could do them in pencil first and then do it in pen, because pencil allows you to erase. That's an important part of a pencil. Okay, so I'm going to get my pen. Which size? I've got different sizes here. Maybe this one or maybe that one. We'll see. It's important that it's waterproof. Again, waterproof pen, so it doesn't run. Let's see if this is the size I want to work with here. Yeah, that's a pretty good size. So as I'm doing all these pencil lines, I'm going to add shagginess. I'm going to add texture. So as I'm doing the little moosey tail here, make it shaggy, make it a little bit messy. Even the moose's thighs, I guess you could call them, make it a little shaggy. And then I made the legs a little bit more smooth than shaggy. I've never seen a moose like up close, but I'm imagining that their legs are a little more smooth than not. Yeah, so everything gets outlined in pen, but sometimes I'm not even on my original pencil line. Sometimes I'm altering it or making extra lines. I've done a number of events where the lines are scribbly on purpose. And we are going to erase our pencil lines later. So don't worry about following them exactly. Make them a little shaggy down the sides. Even like a little bit of shaggy texture within. Doesn't just have to be along the outside. Even some lines. Sometimes I add some extra lines. See? Messy. Look at that. Messy, messy, messy. Let's give him, I give him like a little bit of fuzzy fur on the top of his head, like a little mini mohawk. Give him a shaggy head. The ears could be shaggy or a little smoother. Yeah, even my antlers are a little messy. All right, I'll do my little shaggy beaver. And I don't know why, whenever people draw beavers, they do like a crisscross pattern on the tail. They're not really crisscross. They're kind of scaly, not quite like fish scales, but there is definitely a texture. But everyone always just does like a crisscross checkerboard, not quite checkerboard. How far am I going with that? Yeah, sort of like that kind of a thing. Just gives it a little texture. And a little footy. Yeah. Let's get that tree going. Now you have to decide, is your banner in front of your tree or is your banner in behind the tree? Depends. So I'm going to say my banner is in front of the tree. So I'm going to have to skip over the parts of the banner that are in the way. Boop. That. Extra lines for extra tree texture. Go with the flow of the stump. It has to flow. Yeah, it's just messy lines. And we're going to add some shading with some paint. So we'll make it seem more 3D. something like that. That looks good. Let's do the polar bear bum. Anyone have any really cool plans for this evening? Maybe some fireworks or a barbecue? My plans are very boring. I'm going to go to work. Someone's got to do it. I think it'll be a pretty quiet night at work. I work at a bowling alley, and I think most people will be barbecuing or watching fireworks, so maybe a little less bowling on Canada Day. But someone's got to do it. Someone's got to be there, and that's me. Shaggy, shaggy polar bear. If you're having trouble loosening up and getting really wild with these scribbly shagginess, hold your pen further away from the tip. So if you're holding your pen right up here, you're going to have more control. We don't want control. We want out of control. So hold your pen back here for less control and really shag it up. Look at that. Messy. Look at that bear. He looks fuzzy. Give him a few little fuzzes here and there. Something like that. Oh, Jared went to a tour in a cheese factory. That sounds cool. A cheese factory. Okay, let's do my goosey. My little goose. I did give him a little eye, but you can't really see the eye because his head is black. But the eye is there. It is there. That is a plump goose. So I've added little curves, little half circles as texture on the goose. I guess I could go a little higher. Got it going pretty high on this one. Here's my little goose. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I'm happy with my 4 animals. Those are good. I'm going to do my banner. So I'll start with just like the outline of all these triangles, and then we'll add the lettering right after that. Again, I'm going to turn this over just because it's easier for my hand. Let's get some triangles going. Yeah, see my lines, there's double lines, it's scribbly on purpose. And don't forget, you can add anything that you want to this composition. So another animal that you're thinking of. What else? Maybe like a loon. Loons are very iconic. What else is maybe like a fox or a wolf would be cool. Maybe even an eagle. Whatever says Canada to you, you could add. It doesn't just have to be animals. What if you want to add some very iconic Canadian plants, like some maple tree, or we're in Ontario, so trillium is the flower of Ontario. Whatever you want to add, literally anything. What else could you add? More trees, some rocks, some. You want to add the sun? Do you want to add the moon? Maybe this is at night. It's a nighttime party. Anything. And the banner doesn't have to say, what do I have? 155, Canada, 155. That's just an example. What if you want to write Happy Canada Day? You can do that. Family name. Literally anything. Maple leaves. Boom, 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 boom on each of these. Could be cool. So I'll do what I have here as the example, but do whatever you feel like doing on your painting at home. So Canada is 6 letters, so I kind of want to have it in the middle. So choose like your middle 6 triangles, I think would be best. Or it could be Canada, 155, Canada, if you have enough room. Again, if you want to do pencil first before committing to pen. Yeah, any kind of lettering style, blocky letters like I'm doing. Could be capitalized C and then lowercase after that. Could be your province, could be your city. It's okay if the letters are a little bit wonky because the flags are flapping in the wind, so the letters aren't going to be all perfectly straight. So if they're a little bit wibbly, that's perfect. Make sure you're spelling it right. I was about to do, I don't know what I was about to do, but it wasn't going to be a D, but should be a D. Yeah, not perfectly lined up. Some thick parts, some thin parts, a little bit scribbly. That's okay. And yeah, I've got lots of room to do 155. Of course, maybe you're watching this video next year or the year after. You could change the number on the banner. You can change the number on the moose here. Could be 2023, could be 2024, etc. Adjust accordingly. Okay, so I'm going to leave a gap, 155. Yeah, and you don't have to leave. I've got a couple of blank banners. That one's blank. That one's blank. That one. Put a maple leaf on it. Put anything. Party balloon. Yeah, there's no balloons in this. Maybe add some balloons. I've been really enjoying the butt series so far. If there's an idea that I haven't done yet that's very obviously meant to be part of the butt series, let me know. Because we've done quite a number, and oh, we even did dinosaur butts. Like, we've been there. Dino butts. All right, what am I doing next? I'm thinking the 2022, because that's the year. I just have them kind of dangling down below. Could be on fun angles or it could be straight. I've got mine kind of on fun little dangly angles. Or whatever else you want to add. You want to add balloons dangling down from his antlers, streamers, silly string, anything at all. The family name, your name. There's 2022. Give them a little string to attach to the antler. Just kind of straight up. Just went straight up. So they're attached. What else? Like the ground, a little bit of a bumpy ground. Could be bumpier than this. Could be snow. Could be grass. Could give it some texture. Any kind of ground you want to do. What else do I have? All the confetti. Look at all that confetti. It's going to be a wild time. Look at every bit of confetti has an outline. And we're going to have to do that. Hello, Melly in Italy. That's awesome. Okay. Am I happy? Oh, you know what? The wood chips flying out of the beaver's mouth. Let's get some of those going. So I just drew some lines kind of originating from here, going outward, and little chunks, misshapen chunks of wood flying out of there. A couple more. Yeah, he's really mowing that down. Look at that. Okay. I think I am happy with the amount of, oh, let's give him a little texture here. A little beaver texture. Yeah, there we go. Confetti. It's everywhere. It's all different weird shapes. Some are square, some are long, some are curved. Some aren't fully painted in, fully. It's a wild time. As much or as little as you want, literally. Do you want to also throw some balloons? Yeah, so here's a few starter examples of confetti shapes. But remember, confetti just doesn't fall in the sky. There could be a confetti on someone's head, on his shoulder is a confetti, on his bum, a little confetti on the ground. Confetti everywhere. It's going to take a while. Yeah, everywhere. Some confetti on the banner, confetti in front of the banner, confetti anywhere on these animals because the confetti is falling in 3 dimensions. So there could be some literally anywhere. On the tree trunk. Really, you could just close your eyes and make a bunch of weird squarish shapes anywhere at all. Do you want some long, skinny ones? Do it. Do you want just some triangles? Put some triangles in amongst the squares. Round? There could be round confetti. And I also try not to have everything like perfectly evenly spaced out. So have some that are touching, have some that are overlapping. Bigger ones, smaller ones. Where else? On his tail, sure. On his body, yes. On the ground. It's like we're drawing a coloring page for ourselves, and we're going to color it in a moment. Where else? It's already looking like super festive. Look how festive this looks with all this confetti. How much more? How much more? You be the judge. You could have less. Definitely have less than me if you choose. Let's go. I don't know. Where else? Between the legs. Yes. Put some between the legs. I mean, it's looking pretty good. Do I want more? You be the judge. I'm quite happy with the amount I have. There's some on the ground, some on the animals, on the banner. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. All right. Of course, you can pause on this screen and finish up your drawing till it's perfection. I'm going to erase all of my pencil lines because I don't want a lot of visible pencil lines. A light erase. Sometimes when I erase the pencil lines, I discover areas that I forgot to do pen. So you just add that in. looks pretty good. Oops. There we go. Defluffed. You can always go in and add more texture anywhere, more confetti, more details, more little scribbles. That's looking pretty good. Yeah, so we took, it was about an hour to do the whole drawing. That's pretty good. In a lot of watercolor, there's a lot of prep at the beginning, whether it's with pen or just with pencil. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is going. And we're going to add some watercolor paint. If you don't have watercolor paint, of course, you can use acrylic paint, just as acrylic paint, or water it down to seem like watercolors. You could fill this in with pastels, pencil crayons, markers, crayons. What else is out there? Anything, literally anything at all. Any colors if you want. A purple bear, I can't stop you. You can have a purple bear. Absolutely. Do all your animals red and white. Wouldn't that be cute? All right, let's get got the water, bring that in. Bring my brushes, my paint. So I like to have like an area, so that's in this case the lid, where I like to do some extra mixing just in case you want to add two colors together, let's say. And let's say I'm using like a reddish brown, because I have like a number of browns here. There's a reddish one, there's darker brown, yellowish brown. Let's say you only have one shade of brown. Mix colors together to get the desired color. So if I'm talking about a yellowish brown for, right here in the wood, mix yellow and brown together in the lid, on a plate, on a palette. You're not limited by the colors that you have. You can mix colors together, of course. Same with, a yellowish green or anything. Like if I'm saying in another painting, pinkish purple. Mix pink and purple together. All right, maybe you've never, ever used watercolors. Get your brush wet, get it wet. I'm going to let's start with something a little easier to get us going. I'll start with the banner. It's just red and white. So I've got different reds here. Get your brush wet. Select the red. Rub it, rub with water. Get some more water. Rub it some more with more water. Even get some more. Here's a little bit more. And then I like to bring it to like an area on my mixing area here, just to get even more water going in it. Because we don't want chunkies of paint. We want just a smooth consistency, like juice, like we're painting with juice. We're not painting with acrylic, like a toothpastey kind of texture. We're literally painting with water. So I've got some red here. I did kind of a pattern, red, white, and then the letters are the opposite. You could do that, or you could have it consistent the whole way across, or get some other colors involved. Here, let's go like this. Yeah, let's go like that so we can kind of see what's going on. So maybe in this one, I'll just paint the banner, the little triangle itself, but I'm skipping over the number 1, and I'm skipping over any confetti. If there's confetti in the way, just kind of go around it. So on this one, I'll do just the 5. Let's have a closer look. See how it's kind of see-through. The paint is kind of see-through. It's very wet, very juicy. Sometimes I go out of the lines. That's okay. Sometimes I don't even fill in the whole shape. That's also okay. So I'm just going to alternate. Green would look nice in the banner. Yellow would look nice. Your favorite colors. Okay, so this is a red, that's white, that's red. This one's going to be an all white triangle, so I'm just going to skip it all together. Then over here, we're back to the red. Yeah, you can see places I've gone out of the line, places I didn't even fill in the whole shape, little gappies, little gap there. That's okay. So it is quite see-through, but if yours is, let's say, super, super light and it looks more pink, if your red is looking more pink at this point, you need to add more of the pigment into your little puddle. So you just rub, 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 mix it into your little puddle there and get it redder, more red. It's already looking super festive. So that is white. So then this one's red. Yeah, this is a good little warm-up exercise. Red, white, red, white. Red, and then that last one would be white. So I'll just leave it blank. There we go. Yeah, while we're doing these letters, I might as well do the 2020. I did it in green on that one, but if you want to do a different color for the 2020, go ahead. Rub, rub, rub. Lots of water. Did I say 2020? You know what I meant. Let's not relive 2020. There we go, 2022. Yeah, and even if you look at the red and the green that I've done, there's some areas that seem lighter, some areas that seem darker. Okay, this seems a little lighter there than there. Even the ones I just did, it seems a little darker in the bottoms than at the top. That's all okay. In watercolor, you just kind of have to let it move and flow and go where it wants to. And then sometimes things happen like patches that'll dry kind of funny. We call them cauliflowers or blooms, like this little patchy here, this patch in the sky, all these strange shapes in the sky. Those are all fine. Like this, ooh, look at this kind of weird shapey here. As it dries, it just has a mind of its own. Okay. I'm going to start on my moosey, the moose. Quite a nice, dark, chocolatey head. So I've got a lovely assortment of browns here, something that looks like chocolate, chocolatey brown. Let's go a little darker here. And you can mix two colors together. Let's say you just have a very light brown. Add maybe a scooch of black to it. See what happens if you add a little bit of red to it, let's say. Let's see, that's a nice chocolatey brown. We'll get his head here. Yeah, if you have some confetti in the way, go around it. But even if a little of the confetti like gets covered, that's all right. If you have anything touching another wet thing, so here I have wet brown, here I have wet red, I just don't let them touch. There's a little gap so they don't bleed into each other. But even if some of the brown bleeds into some of the red, like I'm trying to force it to bleed, but oh yeah, a little brown is going into my red a little bit. That's okay. No one's going to see those little tiny bleeds. There's a nice chocolatey brown head. Pardon me. I also put some of this chocolatey brown on his little nubby tail. A little nubby tail and some brown. And it's all very pretty see-through, very watery. You can still see like lines through the paint. So if your paint is really thick, really dark, you've got too much of the pigment, you need more water. It's supposed to be watery. And then the rest of the moosey bum and back and legs, kind of blackish, almost fully black, black with a little brown in it. And all those kind of unique shapes and things you see is just from the watercolor drying kind of weird. So let's get some black going. Running out of black here. Mixing it up. Oh, a little splash. I have a little splash, so I'm going to dab it with my tissue. Magic. Brown and black together. Let's see what that color is. Yeah, quite dark. Yeah, I like that color. Quite dark. Blackish, brownish. If some of your chocolate brown and some of your blackish brown touch and blend, that's actually very cool. We're going to get some interesting colors going on. So I'm going to bring it down, not all the way down the legs, maybe cut it off right there. And then sometimes I just like to get some water. There's just water on my brush. You rinse it out, tap it off a little. There's just water on this brush. You could just literally dab around some water and interesting shapes will happen as it dries. There's some, I could even get some brown. Get a little brown on your brush. Dabble in a little brown even. Give it some texture. Yeah, and some of the tail bled into the black. Some of the head went into the black. That's okay. That's all right. So we've got it kind of cut off upper thigh here. And then I want the legs a little bit lighter on the hole going down here. So this is like light brown, even like a yellowy brown, but such a tiny amount that it's like almost see-through. Let's get a little going. Just a tiny bit. Like a yellow brown or like an ochre. Very watery. Get some more water on the brush. Dilute it. And then I do let the two colors touch each other. So now a little of that is bleeding into this. Just very pale, kind of all the way down, very pale. A little bit more. If it's too dark, just rinse off your brush. Dilute it with more water. Very, very pale, very see-through, very watery. I will add some black to the hooves. So I've got just black here. This is still very wet and it's going to bleed, and that's fine. A little black down here. Where else? A little black, maybe a little black under that knobby knee part. And it's kind of diluted. It's turning gray. That's fine. A little gray on there. It's bleeding. It's moving. It's going where it wants to go. That's fine. Yeah. Moosey. Even while it's still wet, it's still all wet. I've got some black here. We could put some more texture in him. Squidge around some black. Yeah, I like that. I'll do the antlers, like again, kind of a yellowy brown, ochre color. Pretty light. And sometimes my confetti is getting covered up a little bit. We're going to put some vibrant colors on the confetti at the end, so it'll cover up if some of this ochre, some of the brown gets on the confetti, like right there. There's kind of a pale antler color. Yeah, I'm happy with that mousse. Let's do, I'm thinking beaver. We could do the beaver next. How should I put it so we can see them? See both the beavers. Yeah, beaver. That's pretty good. Some kind of brown. So I'm going to go for like a chocolatey brown, like the mousse. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's pretty chocolatey. Still very watery, kind of see-through. I've got some confetti that I'm going around. A little head. And then you can dab in other shades of brown or even red or even yellow just to give it more texture, more shading. So here's a bit of darker brown. So I'm picturing maybe darker brown near his bum, maybe along one side of him, a little bit darker, behind the head maybe. Maybe a little yellow or even orange, a little yellow in the brush. Dab that into the wet brown. It's just going to give a more flavor. It's going to look more interesting to look at. Even if you want to dab just a little bit of water. So tap that off a little, dab in some water. It'll make some interesting shapes as it dries. There we go. I did my beaver's tail light gray with some black on it. So gray is just very watered down black. Black with a lot of water. There's some gray. Brown would be good too for the tail. There's some gray. His foot is black. Black foot. Little black foot. Little black teeny tiny ears. Tiniest little ears. Teeny tiny ears. This is a little bit of darker black in amongst my gray, just to give it some more texture. I'll go around. I do want to kind of accentuate the checkerboard lines that I made, but it's a little wet. I'm going to wait a little bit, because if I added some stripies across it, it would just blur out. Too blurry. Little beaver, he's cute. Yeah, you can see it's still wet, but as it dries, sometimes you get this kind of little bit of bumpy texture, not bumpy, but just like a separation of pigments. See that kind of weird texture? Almost looks like scales. That's granulation, and that's okay too. So granulation, okay. Cauliflowers and blooms, okay. Lighter areas, darker areas, okay. It's all okay. It does what it wants. Let's try it. Yeah, it's a little bit more dry as I've been talking. So I'm adding just a little bit of darker black, darker gray. It's still a little wet, but it's working out. That's kind of cute. That guy's good. I'm going to do, yeah, we'll do some tree, get the tree going. So lighter on the part that he's already chewed. So like a little brown with some yellow or some ochre, just kind of lighter on the whole. Again, I'm not going to let this color I'm using touch my really wet spots. You just leave a little gap. Leave a literal empty space, and you can't hardly tell. Leaving gaps is allowed in watercolor. So there's some lighter brown. And then the trunk could be any shades of brown. Anything at all. So I have done a little bit of lighter brown on the left side and a little bit of darker brown on the right side to make it seem like maybe there's a light source coming from the left. So it's lighter along here and then darker here. gives it a sense that it's a 3D object in space that is affected by light. And you'll notice that I went right over, I had some confetti here. I went over it. It's brown now, but I can add red or blue or green later on top of the brown. And yes, you'll see a little bit of the brown through. That's okay. Maybe a little yellow. Get some yellow going. Put some yellow in your tree. Even green. What if there's some green lichen growing on your tree? You can put some green on there. Okay, let's get some brown down here. Put a little yellow in there. It's pretty glary, pretty glossy. But that's what we want. We were painting with the consistency of juice. It should be glossy, it should be wet. That's super cute. Cute. Okay. I like it. How am I going to show you the polar bear in the same screen? Maybe this way. Oh yeah, this way. Yeah. Now polar bears are white, but if you look at like an actual polar bear or pictures, they're kind of yellowy. They're not pure white. They're definitely off-white. They're cream. So we are going to leave, you know, some big areas as blank white, just the paper showing through. But some will add some bit of yellowiness, even a little bit of purpliness, just very pale purpley gray, just to give it a little bit of flavor. Like a very, very, very light blue would also be okay. Just very pale colors because we want them to seem still pretty white. So yeah, like a yellow or like a dirty yellow, but very watery. Let's see what I got here. Ooh, that's pretty yellow. Add more water to my brush here. Oh yeah. Or as if you're painting with weak tea. So I've got some along the kind of sides of him. Just very pale, 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 pale. And it's going to dry even lighter, so that's a good thing. Just blobby shapes. Anywhere, everywhere. Pale, pale, pale. So that's a little bit of very pale, kind of a ochre or like a dirty yellow. I'm going to get a little, let's see, very pale, 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 purpley. Maybe mix in a little brown with the purple. So I got a little purple, I got a little brown. Purpley brown, but with lots of water, tons of water. Even more water, that's too dark. Little bits here and there. Yeah, I think that's literally all I'm going to do. So very pale colors, super see-through, messy, shaggy, blobby. So that he mostly stays light looking. I could probably do a little bit darker in some places. So I'm going to go a little darker in the kind of shadow of the tail, I guess, just to make the tail stand out a little. Maybe between the legs, a tiny bit darker. Nothing too wild. Bottom of the feet, maybe. That's a little better. Super pale. That's all we're going to do on the bear. The goose, the little Canada goose. I mean, his head is pretty straightforward. Black head, leaving his white patch white. So we want to keep that shape white. So leave it white. Let's get a little bit of black going. Little black head. If your black seems more gray than black, you just need to mix, just rub the black a little more to get more of that pigment and make it blacker. He has black feet, tiny little black feet. Ooh, a storm is brewing here. I heard thunder. There we go, little black feet. He's looking more goose-like. Now their tail feathers, their butt tail feathers are blackish grayish. So I'm going to take some black and put it on the very ends of the tail here. So I've got the tip blackened. I'm going to rinse my brush a little. So it's like grayish. So now the water is combining with the black I have there, so it's going a little grayer. Like that. And their body is brownish grayish. Brownish grayish. So we'll get some brown going. Like pale brownish grayish. Yeah, that's a good pale brown. This upper part here. Right there. So these little side bits down here, those are white. The little thigh, I don't know, is that his belly? So here is some brown on his body. But I'm going to get some of that gray or black on my brush and kind of dabble in a little black. So very light brown with a little bit of very pale black, gray, just kind of dabbled in there. And it's going to move around. It's going to go where it wants to go. Even if I tilt the page, I could tilt the page and make the paint flow in another direction. Do I want a little more brown? A little brownier. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at it. Fun, 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 fun. Yeah, I mean, the animals themselves are not wild colors. The wild colors are going to come from our confetti or sky. That's where the really colorful parts come in. This is kind of a lot of browns. A lot of browns on the animals. But the confetti could be any color you want too. So it doesn't have to be, what did I do? Yellow, red, blue, green. Sort of like primary basic colors. Could be all red confetti for Canada Day. Do you have any metallic or pearlescent paints at home? And you want to have like pearlescent confetti? Would look so cool. I think that would look amazing. But before we do the confetti, we're going to do the background. So blue sky on the top, kind of fading to white. And then green bushes fading to white as it goes up. And I've got some lovely green grass, but it doesn't have to be grass. If you want to do dirt or snow, you could leave it white. What do I want to do first? The sky or the green? I'll do the green. I'll do the bright green grass first. That's my choice. Bright green grass or the color of your choice down here. Yeah, sometimes I go right over the confettis. That's all right. Maybe it's a green confetti on green grass. It could be. There we go, green, bright green grass. And then I've got the impression of bushes here, here, a little bit stronger green along the bottom, fading to white as it goes up. And what color would you say that is? Like a leprechaun green or like a Kelly green, or it could even be an emerald green. Any colored green you have. What am I going to use? This is a lovely kind of dark. Let's try it out. Yeah, I like that color. Again, I'm going to probably paint right over all my confettis, just because it's going to be a pain to paint around each confetti in the background. Yeah, that's a good color. So I'm going to just paint kind of darker blobby green at the very bottom here. And oops, there's a little bleed happening. Some light green is going into my dark green, and that's fine. It's going to give it more texture. So I'm just going to start with some dark green all along the bottom. Blobby shapes. Nothing fancy down here. Blob it on there. Yep, some bleeds are happening. That's fine. Some gaps, also fine. So there's some dark green. Yours could be more or less, different shapes. And then I just get water on the brush, just water. and paint the water above and let it kind of bleed into it, fade into it, blob it. It's gonna spread wherever it wants, as far as it wants. More water, painting water above it, letting it touch, letting it flow. More water. And you do have to work fairly quickly so your green doesn't fully dry. There's going to be darker spots, lighter spots. It's all good. And you can bring the green up as high as you want to. It doesn't have to stay, you know, just the first 3 inches, let's say. And then I go back and I grab some more green and I could just blob it in there, blob it in the water, blob it around. Blob some shapes, whatever you want. As tall as you want. Get some more water, dab around some more water. So I'm only going to go no higher than the halfway. Like, don't go higher than half because we want the blue to come down. There, so I've got, yeah, some greens a little higher, a little lower, blobby shapes. It's meant to be subtle. It's the background. No one's like focused on the background. So it's okay if it's not quite how you thought it would turn out. No one's looking at that. Once you get all these confettis on here, the confettis are very distracting. All right, so yeah, there's that green, there's that one. We're going to do the same thing but with blue. So I'm going to put some blue up here and kind of bring it down with water. You can flip this completely upside down and then do your blue exactly how you just did the green. Strong blue down here, bring the water up, if that works out better for you. What blue? I have so many blues. Is this the one I like? Doop, doop. Yeah, that's the one I like. Any kind of blue. Ultramarine blue. Phthalo blue. Sky blue. Cerulean. What else? Like any, or what about sunset colors? You could do sunset colors. Doesn't have to be blue. Yeah, I like that blue. It's good blue. So I'm going to blob a bunch of blue up here. And I'm going, again, right over my confettis. We'll just have to paint over the blue for the confettis. Yeah, so we have to go kind of in between all these triangles. Just take your time. And even if some of the triangles get a little blue on them, that's okay. flip it around here, see where I'm going. Yeah, I've got much darker spots, much lighter spots. We can adjust, we can darken. You can even lighten to some degree by adding some water and just kind of squidging it around. Yeah, and you can see my paper is kind of warping, a little bit bumpy, but I just bend it how I want it. Bend it back into shape. And as it dries, it'll flatten too. It won't stay like that forever. So bring your blue down, fade it out, fade it to white. More water, more water. Yeah, I'm going to get some interesting shapes happening as it dries. Some interesting things happening down here as the green is drying already. Okay, so it's got a little bit more color, a little bit more pizzazz now. Getting there. I do have to wait till the paint is dry, the background's dry, before doing the confetti. So these are pretty good. I might start with doing confettis that I know are on a dry area, because I wouldn't want the confetti spots to bleed out into the grass, into the bush, into the sky. So we wouldn't want that. So yeah, these are dry. I'll start by just demonstrating some of the confettis, but I probably won't get around to filling in every confetti because a lot of the areas are wet. Think about the colors. So I'm going to do red, yellow, blue, green, kind of like primary basic colors, just like that. But you can have a theme where if you just want blue and red, you can do that. I'm going to start with, I'll start with some reds. And this could be a little bit thicker in its consistency, less see-through than what we've been doing. A little bit less see-through, so it's more bold, stands out more. And you don't have to follow the exact shape of the confettis that you drew. If you look closer at this one, sometimes I went out of the lines, sometimes I didn't even fully fill in the shape. So I just kind of a little dab, approximating like bloop, bloop, bloop. But make sure it's on a dry background. So if your green is still a little wet, don't do any there. If your grass is still a little wet down here, yeah. And then keep in mind some of these are wood chips instead of confetti. So maybe I'll do some reds, but then I'll switch over and do some wood chips. Now I don't want to do any up here yet. They're still very wet. I could do this one. Red. What else is sort of dry? Well, this is dry. Yeah, just kind of spot some red here and there, switch colors, do some green, do some yellow, do some blue. I'm going to do my wood chips so I don't forget them. Like yellowy brown, light brown. Boop. These are all wood chips in this area. Sure, that's a good amount of little wood chips. I mean, even this could be like a wood chip on the ground. Let's get some green. Yeah, be careful that it's only on the dry areas. Dry. What else is dry? Are you dry? The best thing to do would be to wait till your whole painting's dry. That's wet. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit more festive. We're definitely on the home stretch, guys. Where else? Maybe this one. Okay, so let's do some blue. Oh, see, that one's a little wet. So it bled, it kind of spread out as soon as I put it down. Yellow. And of course, you could always go back to some of the first colors you put down. I could go back and add more red. I can go back and add more blue. Okay, what else is dry? You're dry. You're pretty dry. so many wet spots. I'm going to do a little bit more on what I can see are dry, but I don't want to push my luck. More green, yeah, more green. I think it's helping that I've got a bright light on it so that kind of evaporating a little quicker. Where else? Oh, here's a little one. I definitely want some more, a bit more yellow, I think. Yep. Yellow is nice and bright. I like to use a lot of yellow. Let's see. Oop. These ones are pretty wet. Well, I did them anyway. Okay. Did I get them all? Maybe this guy. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. I am going to, I'll show you the tape pull, but I would recommend that this is dry before you start pulling your tape. We don't want any smudges happening. I'll just do it really carefully. So some tapes are a little stickier than others, and you might rip your paper a little bit. That happens. That's okay. And I am going to show you some upcoming events with me. Some very summery things coming up. We've got a little bit of a under the tape bleed where the two tapes overlapped. It bled a little. That's all right. Okay. So let's say you're taking your tape off as carefully as you can, and like a little bit of a rip is starting to form. I would just like stop where you're at. Just like stop, go from the opposite end. So start coming from the other way and then meet the rip from the other direction so that you minimize the amount of paper that's ripping, if that happens. And of course, we would love to see the results of your paintings in our Watercolor Lovers Facebook group. Maybe some of you are already part of the group. So go on Facebook and in the search bar type in Watercolor Lovers. Should come right up. Artist palette germ region. There's my tape. There we go. So yeah, I had a little bleed here. What I would do for that is I get my brush wet, just water, rub it, rub that little boo-boo, rub it, get a little tissue. I got a tissue nearby. Dab it, rub it. It'll lighten. It'll never like completely go away. Also, if you did want to frame this painting and you wanted to cover up that spot, you could get a mat board that goes around like this and it covers that up, and then the frame around that kind of thing. I'm going to sign mine in pen. You could sign this in watercolor if you wanted to. Yeah, you can add more things to this. You could add some splashes. In a lot of my tutorials, I like to add some splashes. That'd be very festive. What else? Other animals, other plants, anything at all. Let me show you what's coming up July in watercolors with me. So we've got this one here. It's called Punch Buggy by the Sea in watercolors. So this is a ticketed event on Zoom. So everyone who purchases a ticket, you get the access to the live Zoom and also the full recording that you keep forever. So that's Punch Buggy by the Sea. This upcoming Thursday, is that the 7th? Something like that, next Thursday. And then we have Toucan in the Tropics, watercolor as well. Tickets for the Zoom event on our website. Our website is artistpaletteDurham.com. So for both of these events, you get an outline of this one, of the car. You get an outline of this car that you can trace, and then you get an outline of this toucan that you can trace, and then we go from there. We paint it together. There you go. So yeah, a way to show your appreciation for the free events that we put on. I do have a tip link in the description of the video below, but if you don't feel like a tip, support us by getting a ticket to one of our upcoming ticketed events, and that's another way you can support your favorite online artists. We do love putting on these free events for you, of course. So much fun. The Butt series has just been a very fun, positive series to do. Butts of all sizes and shapes. Yeah, so I'd love to see your finished pieces in our watercolor lovers group. It'd be fun to see your take, your personalities coming out. Does anyone have any questions for me before we go? You can type in the chat. You can message us directly. You could email us any questions about this painting, about other things that we offer. Anything at all in the chat there. It's been a lovely afternoon with you guys. I hope you have a safe and happy Canada Day. I'm going to have a pretty boring Canada Day at work. There we are. Two versions, similar but different. I'd love to see yours. All right, I don't see any questions coming up. Have a good rest of your afternoon, the rest of your long weekend. Bye, guys. Take care.